You know, I'm really getting tired of all these sexy ladies on Instagram and Facebook getting all the love. RC just gets skipped over. So you know what? I'm going to steal a page out of their playbook. Get ready with me today.
Welcome to CK4RC.
Welcome back to the channel. I'm Chaz. This is CK4RC. No, I'm not going to strip down to my underwear and make you look at that. That's a nightmare for everyone involved. I'm talking about this guy right here. The UDIRC UCX1801 Toyota Land Cruiser. That's what it is. This is the Pro version, brushless, four-wheel drive, 1/18 scale with dig. This thing is one of my favorite releases from this past year. And I just haven't done anything with it. So now it's time to dress it up a little bit. So get ready with me while I dress this thing up. So I'm not going to do it to myself. I'm going to do it to the truck. Now, one of the things about being in the RC YouTube world is we get a lot of really cool new trucks. And we unbox them and we test drive them. And then we put them on a shelf and we never do anything else with them ever again. And that is very much where this was headed. But here's the thing. This truck was cool. Especially that dig function, man. It was so cool. It was so fun. And it was decent. So, since I've been updating my other Toyota Tacomas from FMS, I figured, well, I've got this Toyota. I never even put the stickers on it. And because I was able to get such good deals on Batrazzi wheels and tires, I have extras. And yeah, I'm not going to put like 1.0 or 1.3 wheels and tires on this thing because it's just not made for that. But these 0.8 wheels and tires, that would be a significant upgrade over the stock wheels and tires. And then, yeah, I've got the stickers that it came with that I've never done anything with. So here's what I'm going to do. And actually, on the website, UDIRC's website, they most commonly, actually, the only way I've seen it, the yellow version, they use these black and gray and red stripes to go down the side of the yellow version. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of that because they also have like these orange and yellow and like burnt okra, I don't know, whatever. And so I think the orange and yellow will look good on there. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do mine a little bit different because you guys know I'm going to do things the way that I want to do it. And then I'll put some other stickers on here and just kind of dress it up a little bit. Just church it up real good. You know how Joe Dirt does.
Joe Dirte?
Don't try and church it up, son. Don't you mean Joe Dirt?
And I did find some metal upgrade parts. And you guys already know I'm a sucker for metal drive shafts and suspension links because they're just sturdier. So I've got an order in for some of those. I'm not going to do anything else. I'm going to leave it pretty much as is beyond those small upgrades and visual mods. So nothing crazy, but I'm just going to dress it up a little bit and just see how much better I can make this on a really simple scale. So that's what I'm going to do. Let me get to working. Okay, to get a start, I've got one set of my tweezers here. I use tweezers frequently when I'm putting on decals because it just helps me kind of get things lined up to where I can see better without my fat fingers getting in the way all the time. But with the type of decals that come with this truck, I'm not sure my tweezers are going to be necessary. Now these are kind of like the transfer type of decals to where there is an overlay sheet. So you just want to, as precisely as possible, get your stickers laid down. I've got a little bit of a weird angle on this one, but it's okay. It's not too bad. And then get that all pressed down nice and neat into the crevasses. Make sure you got a real good stick on it. You want it to be stuck real good. So I'm just gonna run like the edge of my tweezers along the edge of the sticker, decal, whatever you want to call it. And then this clear oversheet here should peel off and leave the sticker behind. Just like so. Not too bad. It's not perfect. Hopefully I can do a little bit better as I go along. I do plan on using at least a few of these decals. And now this is where it's going to start getting tricky. All right. These big boys down the side. This one doesn't seem like it's going to be a whole lot of fun. I'm not super pumped about doing it. I want to make sure I get this part lined up real nice with the side marker that's molded onto the truck. And I just don't really know the best way to go about it because this snorkel's in the way. But the problem is that snorkel doesn't come off very easily. So what I'll do is try to line it up, get that kind of pressed down a little bit. Yeah, that's going to be pretty good, I think, right there. And then I'm going to lay down the back part. Ooh, that turns out. I think this is going to turn out pretty good right here. I'm going to use my thumbnail to press that down. And then I'm going to come up here and use my thumbnail to press this part down. Oh, I think I got it. Maybe. Oh, as long as this little crease and wrinkle right here is doable. We're about to find out. Here's the moment of truth. Oh, come on. I need you to stay on the truck. Yeah, just like that. It is not perfect. Not perfect by any means. But that's on there though. And you know what? That looks pretty cool, I think. So now I'm just going to take these tweezers. I'm just going to try to work it into like the door panels a little bit. The body lines. Oh wow, that is thick. None of that is happening at all for me. All right, didn't line up exactly perfectly, but it's not so bad. That's not so bad. That's not so bad. And you know what? Having this graphic on here, one of my big complaints about this truck was the proportions seemed just a little off to me, but having the graphics on here actually makes the graphics, or actually it makes the proportions look a little bit cleaner to me. So yeah, that's interesting. All right, now I need to figure out which of these side straps. I'm thinking it's this top one. I'm thinking this top one probably goes here, just because of the angle of that. Seems like it makes the most sense. So I will grab this one and get the back stripes stuck on here the best I can. Ooh, that's pretty good right there. Yep, that looks nice. And then there's that part right there on the front part of that fender. That's okay. That's pretty good. And now I'm going to get my hobby knife and I'm just going to cut right there around that fender. And by hobby knife, what I mean is my box knife, utility knife, whatever. Different people call them different things. Call it whatever you want. I'm calling mine somewhat dull right now. I can't come into the top the way I was wanting to. So I'm just going to come down here and just follow the fender line. There we go. That should work out just fine. And then I will pull off this top part and hopefully leave everything behind. Nope, not everything, I guess. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Perfect, look at that. Now that is how you dress up an RTR with the stickers that come with it. I'm just going to wrap it around the inside of that fender there a little bit. I guess that one right there is just kind of not interested in being part of the truck. Okay, I get that. I'm not terribly worried about that. Okay, all right. That's not so bad. Just trim off that little section there of that part. Nice. Okay, what other decals do I want to use? Do I want to use like some fender badges on here? Put that up here like by the side mirror maybe? Put one on this side, put one on the other side. Maybe this 4x4 decal on the back over here above the stripe. That could look pretty cool, I think, too. Or I could go with the orange Toyota stripe right here, like in this section. There's that. It's not bad. I could put the Land Cruiser or this Land Cruiser along the hood. I don't know if I want to do that. That might be a little bit weird. So yeah, we've got some options though. I don't know if I want to go, I think I do want to put something else on here just to dress it up a little bit more. But I don't know, should I go with the orange stripe or should I go with the 4x4? Should I put the 4x4 on here? Or should I put the orange stripe on there? Just not sure. Just not too sure. Okay. Well, there's the decals, at least the starting set of the decals. Let me throw the wheels on here real quick, and then we'll get a better look at how she's going to be. There's a little sneak peek taste for you right here. What do you think of this? So we got the stock back here. We got the Batrazzi set up here. We've got a brass ring on this beadlock wheel. We've got an aluminum ring on the rear beadlock wheel. So just to try to help with the weight distribution a little bit, and we will get this on the scale whenever we're all said and done and see how she's looking. But I'm also waiting on some of the metal components like I was talking about. I did manage to get metal drive shafts and metal suspension links on the way. And I did find a brass steering link, but it comes in a whole kit with axle housing and knuckles and just all kinds of different parts that I was not interested in for this particular truck. And I couldn't get the steering link separate. So UDIRC, if you're listening, a brass steering link by itself would be fantastic. Help us out. Anyway, whatever. So let's go ahead and swap out this back one here and get the full effect of what this setup is going to look like. And I'm telling you right now, it already looks better. And I know for a fact it's going to perform way better. Look at that. Oh, that looks better. Gonna have to watch the body rub on here. Now, there were some optional oil shocks to upgrade, but these are already oil shocks and they're actually not bad. So I decided not to get them. I may need just a little bit taller ones just to try to get, well, I guess the rolling clearance isn't too bad. And actually, I think I'm going to be okay. There's just a tiny little bit of rub with the wires on the lights in there. And just a tiny bit of rub around the fender there at full suspension lock. I think I'm going to be okay. Guys, what do you think? How's it looking so far? That's coming out pretty nice, huh? Yeah, that's coming out pretty nice. And then just for comparison's sake from head on, look at the difference in the wheels. Well, the tires specifically. I mean, you can see how much height we gained right here. Well, maybe you can. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. How much height we gained in the tire. Not a ton, but a noticeable amount. As far as the width goes, honestly, I didn't even check the width. What are we looking at here? The width is fairly close to the same. The Batrazzis are just a tiny bit wider. So that's okay. And you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I might get some brass wheel hexes just to kind of add a little bit more weight down low and just see if we can keep it a little more planted. Actually, I think I'm going to do that. That's not a bad idea. I don't really want to widen it. I think this with a wider stance would look a little silly, but I do think some regular size brass hexes would just add a little bit more weight, low and out. And that sounds like a good idea. So I think I have some laying around. Let me look into that. But yeah, here we go. This thing's coming along. I'm gonna like this thing even more, I think. And I do think that with these graphics on here, I know the proportions for this are accurate to the 1-to-1 truck, but for some reason it just struck me as odd. But with these graphics on here, I think it actually looks okay. It looks better. So some of my main concerns with the size of the wheels and tires, that's done and gone now. The weird proportions, these graphics help kind of tie everything together. I think that looks nice. I'm starting to dig this thing a little bit more. So I want to see what else I can come up with sticker-wise just to make it stand out a little bit more, make it kind of more my own. But I like where this is heading. The work is done. Let's get this thing on the 4-corner scale and check out the bias. I think I have an idea of what this is going to look like. I don't think it's going to be comp worthy, if you know what I mean. So we get it on here. We start seeing, yeah, it's side to side, get a nice 50-50 split with that front to rear bias. We're looking at like 51-49, I think. Yeah, that's what it's showing, 51-49. So definitely not a comp-worthy setup by any means. But this is kind of what I was expecting, and I will explain that to you here in just a second. But first, let's get it set up on the setup table and check the incline and the side hill, and then we will wrap up. First things first, let's check the side hill stability. We will get this thing going. This truck does not weigh a whole lot. Coming up on 30, 35. There's 40. 40, about 44 is when it tipped over. So nothing too great. We did raise the center of gravity a little bit with these taller tires. I'm going to talk about these tires here in just a minute for the wrap up. Now let's check the incline. Actually, I probably need to move it forward because the overhang on that rear end. Actually, check that out, huh? There's the decal package that I went with. Not too shabby, right? Whatever. Anyway, look at the overhang. That rear bed is just so long. So if I put it back here where I normally do, it's going to hit the table. So I need to move it way up here, and hopefully the drag brake will keep things. I mean, it's not even on, so I guess it's not even the drag brake. Hopefully the drivetrain will just stay locked up. And speaking of locked up, that's what I'm going to talk to you about, those wheels here in a second. Anyway, we're up and running. 35. We're at 40. Coming up to 45. We've surpassed the side hill ability. So that's good. I mean, that's pretty much how any truck should be. There's 50. 55 right there. I'm starting to feel it move on me. The front end is getting a little bit lighter on here. 60. This is more impressive than I expected, to be quite honest. 63. 64, 60. That truck had it coming anyway. 64 on the incline. That's pretty good. I'm not going to be mad at that at all. So, all right, well, let me get this camera set up and let's wrap up the video today. That wraps up the Get Ready With Me RTR edition with the UDIRC UCX1801 Toyota Land Cruiser. This is a way cooler truck than I gave it credit for in my initial review. It still has its issues. It's not a perfect truck by any means, but it is definitely cooler than I originally gave it credit for, like I said. Now, some of the things that I have come to notice about this truck, first of all, let's get a nice little look here at the underside. You can see the metal drive shafts. So they're actually brass lower links and aluminum upper wide links. So that's pretty cool. And then, of course, the aluminum drive shafts, that's nice. And I was able to get a metal, you can't really see it in here, a metal servo mount. So that added, I think that, the metal servo mount, I think that is what pushed this to a 51-49 split bias. because that's the only difference in the weight between the front and the rear. And if you look at this thing, it has such a unique design because this skid is so long and the transmission is dead center right in the middle of it. The front and the rear, they're the exact same length. I know that because the links and the drive shafts are the same. So this thing has just such a unique design to it. So the weight bias is just really weird. So whatever. But man, there's something about metal upgrades that just make me feel more secure in my driving abilities. You know what I mean? So I love some metal upgrades with links and drive shafts specifically. Yeah. And so then I also added brass hexes all the way around. I also have, I think this set of wheels has brass inserts on all four corners. This was one of the sets that I didn't have an extra set of aluminum rings, so that also doesn't help the weight bias. And I did use, like I said, brass wheel hexes on all four as well, instead of going with brass up front and sticking with the stock plastic in the rear. I could have done that also, but I just wanted the weight down low to keep it a little bit more planted. So I forewent the 60/40 desire for the front to rear bias in just trying to get it down low. I think because it's a trail truck and not a comp truck, having lower weight is a little bit more helpful because you're not doing as extreme things typically. When you're trailing, you're just kind of climbing over obstacles and stuff like that. But you're not necessarily looking for like the steepest climbs and the craziest obstacles you can come up with. You just kind of experiment just to see what your truck can do. So that's it. That looks good, right? So the last thing I do want to talk about, and I said I'm going to talk about the wheels. As much as I really like these Batrazzi wheels, and I think they look fantastic on this truck, they got to go. And I am super bummed about it. But as I was experimenting with this thing, and this is a big reason why I didn't do a test drive in this video, is because this rear axle is locked up. It is bound rock solid, and it took me a little while to figure that out, but I did get it figured out. And the way that these beadlock wheels work, the screws are on like kind of the inside of the wheel, and these screws are hitting the screw on the axle right here. And the wheels won't turn past that. So it just binds up the drivetrain. And when you have the dig function engaged, that's perfect. But when you're trying to four-wheel it and the rear wheels don't work, that's a problem. And that's how you break stuff. And now I've got metal parts, so it's gonna break something all right. But anyway, that's a big time bummer because I just love the way these Batrazzi wheels, and well, especially the tires, I love the compound. I love the way the Batrazzi wheels look, but they're just not compatible with this rear axle. They work up front just fine, but it's the design of that rear axle causes problems. So these wheels and tires are gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to figure out another solution. I don't wanna go back to the stock wheels, but I'm gonna have to just for the time being. I'm not gonna go with 1.0s on here because I did not upgrade the shocks. This comes with oil shocks. And yes, I could get taller shocks and go with 1.0 wheels, but the wheel wells, like they're just not made for bigger tires, bigger wheels and tires than this. So I really don't want to go with anything bigger than a 0.8 on the wheels. Even with taller shocks to be able to make more room, the wheel wells themselves are just not shaped big enough for meatier tires on there, for some bigger meats. You know what I mean? So that's where this truck stands right now. I'm going to go back to the stock wheels and tires, unfortunately for now, until I can find a suitable alternative to get this thing back up and running with better wheels and tires. So this is it. What do you think? How do you think it turned out? I'm pretty pleased with it, I'll tell you that. So once I get it running, which is just a quick swap of the tires, the wheels and tires, that's all it is, and it'll be up and running. It'll be, just like new. So I'm going to add this to my Tacoma fleet because while UDIRC claims this is 18th scale, it fits in perfectly with the FCX24M lineup, which is 24 scale. So UDIRC, yeah, it's not a perfect rig. UDIRC, there's usually just like one or two things. It's just a little bit off with their products. The scale on this one is probably one of the biggest things for me. Overall, though, a really nice, solid model that they put out. So if you haven't checked one of these things out and you're curious about it, know up front that the upgrade ability is limited, but they do have options, and there are more options that I chose not to get. So you could do even more than what I did. But as far as upgrades go for direct bolt-ons, it's limited. And you're going to run into some issues with wheels and tires. But it's a cool scale truck with dig. And that is my favorite feature about this truck. And that is why I want to keep this in my fleet, because that dig makes this thing unique with the rest of my trucks. So that's going to do it for today. If you made it this far, drop down in the comments just something about dig. Just dig it. There it is. There's a comment for today. Dig it. Hit that quadfecta for me before you go. Like, subscribe, comment, share, and then hype. I got to figure out what's going on with this thing. Keep doing RC stuff. Hit up my partners, Only RCs, all the links down in the description. Get cool stuff, save money, and I'll see you next time. Big time thank you to my members and channel partners, and if you would like to join the ranks, click on that join button for exclusive content, never before seen videos, early access to videos, and other exclusive content, pictures, polls, and having an active voice in what comes next on the channel. So appreciate the support. Click on that join button, and thank you so much to the channel members.